What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the Quartering, and the internet is absolutely worked up over one of the most hilarious fake outrages I've ever seen. 2 days ago was the billionth Oscars award that apparently 18.7 million people tuned in to watch. Now, that is still less than half of its peak viewership, but the media is spinning it as some sort of gigantic win. The fact that it was up a whopping 12% year over year. But remember, last year was the literal worst ratings the Oscars have ever had in history. I suspect most people were tuning in hoping to see another slap incident, and the ratings will be back in the tank again next year, but I'll let them spin that for now. Out of the Oscars came a couple of winners. There's a lot of movies that got nominated that most people are were forgettable. There's a lot of criticism over what got what awards, but we all know the Oscars are rigged. You have to have a certain group of people that look a certain way to actually even qualify for an award. But one movie that did very well was The Whale, a movie about a man who is essentially eating himself into oblivion after losing the person he loved. And it's a sad movie. I saw it in the theaters. I thought Brendan Fraser did very, very, very good in it, and I thought, it was deserving of every award. If you don't remember about Brendan Fraser too, like this is a guy that was really, really, really popular with films, back in the day, like Encino Man and things like that, The Mummy, but then kind of also had an incident where he called out some bad behavior from men in Hollywood. I believe someone put their hands on him who he didn't want to, and many wondered if he had been blacklisted. But his return to prominence now with this movie, getting a lot of awards, has of course led to people outraged because Brendan Fraser didn't actually put on 500 pounds. I'm not kidding you. You see, this tweet's so disappointing to see that The Whale won an Oscar for Best Hair and Makeup. Fat suits are harmful. They are not your opportunity to win awards. Our identity is not your costume. By the way, being fat is not an identity coming from a fat. I can say that. I'm working very hard at becoming less of a fat, but I've got a long way to go. Months, years to go to undo the sedentary lifestyle and junk food lifestyle that I've lived for the past 10 years. But being fat is not an identity. They are not your opportunity to win awards. Our identity is not your costume. Cast fat actors to play fat characters. Of course, Dove gets involved in this and replies, "Stop giving fat suits awards. We want better representation in Hollywood. Let's change beauty." Of course, getting ratioed into oblivion. But this is not just one tweet. There was a half a dozen articles written by also overweight authors that pretend that they're being left out by this. Look, being overweight sucks. I know this. I don't think it makes you a bad person, but I also don't think it makes you unique in any way. It just means you're taking in more calories than you're putting out. It's not a unique characteristic of somebody. Sure, there's some few people who have gland problems or whatever, but the overwhelming majority of people are overweight because they choose to be that way. And I say this again as a fat. So the implication here is that the fat suit won the award, not the amazing actor, not the amazing acting that Brendan Fraser did in that movie. And you see, if you look at this hashtag, stop giving awards to fat suits. Of course, it's the same company, International Women's Day, all this kind of stuff. But there's so much more. Fat people lose with Brendan Fraser's Oscar win. Written by somebody who does not look to be extraordinarily healthy. Okay, again, I'm not judging her for being overweight, but she clearly is. How about this article? An Oscar for the best fat suit? The Whale attracts backlash for its 2 Oscar wins. Written by somebody? I can't really say she's overweight. I can't really tell in the picture. The Oscars were decidedly unscandalous compared to last year's ceremony, but the winners themselves still spark controversy. Darren Aronofsky's The Whale is sure to be the most divisive, a film that earned Brendan Fraser the Best Actor, but was also dogged by accusations of fat phobia. Bro, I worked at Walmart. I saw people like this all the time. They exist. People that ate themselves into a motorized vehicle that are on oxygen. Because of that, I saw it. It's not phobia. It's a real problem. Okay. I was headed that direction probably not that long ago. The Whale's second Oscar for Best Makeup and Hairstyling was partially polarizing because it was so specifically awarded for the film's use of a fat suit. Hailed as Brendan Fraser's comeback, The Whale is a drama about an obese English professor who struggles with his relationship and self-image and never leaves the house. The role required Fraser to wear a fat suit weighing over 300 pounds. And the film was accused of perpetuating harmful stereotypes about fat people, portraying its protagonist as a tragic, dysfunctional, and addicted to binge eating. Well, that was the story. That's why he gained the weight. He lost the person he loved, he felt isolated, and he turned to food. By the way, this isn't that uncommon. Okay, this is extraordinarily common. People turn to food for a wide variety of reasons. Okay, the reason that Brendan Fraser did in that movie, or his character did, was not fat phobic. Now, the New York Times, Roxane Gay wrote, how this film deals with Charlie's fatness is egregious, exploitative, and at times cruel. In response to the widespread criticism, Aronofsky defended the film as an exercise in empathy, saying that the backlash makes absolutely no sense when the time came for The Whale to win its 2 Oscars, particularly the one for makeup and hairstyling. Many commenters were still disgusted. I just don't appreciate that the makeup team who created a fat suit just won an Oscar, and that it's because we need to have better stories with fat actors and not thinner actors in fat suits. Okay. No LGBTQ members can play straight roles in Hollywood, right? You said fat is an identity, right? Orientation, identity. Maybe I'm getting them all mixed up. Okay, how about that? Right? Doesn't work that way, does it? Happy for Brendan Fraser. But the movie shouldn't have been made, at least not in this form. Are you kidding? What? Nah, I'm sick. Like, The Whale won for putting Brendan in a fat suit, but Elvis was literally every single extra was styled to the T. So they're mad that, like, I love how they're just saying, like, oh, it's, by the way, I've seen a lot of fat suits. Like, you go back to, like, Nutty Professor, right? That looked ridiculous and fake. When you see this movie, the suit actually had the weight. So, like, moving around for him in it was purposely laborious. And, like, it took, a lot of work. But these articles, I mean, it's not just a couple. How about this? You have the article here. Where's the Whale fat suit backlash. Aubrey Gordon, author of the book You Not Just Need to Lose Weight and 19 Other Myths About Fat People, wrote on Twitter that so much of the discourse this time around consists of fat people saying that it's going to make life harder for me. And the response from people who aren't fat is largely, no, it's humanizing you. I would argue that that's our call to make. Look, I'm a fat, and Brendan Fraser in a fat suit had absolutely didn't offend me in the slightest. The idea that there was just so happened to be somebody who weighed 600 pounds who was also an incredible actor sitting around, desperate for work would be hilarious. Like, the idea that, the fact that he's also not gay really bothers them, right? Because he's in love with another man. He left his wife for a man in the movie. And like the idea that, again, so then no openly LGBTQ characters are allowed to play straight characters. You know what I mean? Like, if that's the road we want to go down, fat people lose. Bro, instead of watching the Oscars, if you were on a treadmill, you wouldn't have lost. So this whole article is essentially a cope piece because what? Someone's overweight? Like, that's an actual reality. And that is an actual thing that overweight people deal with. People staring, people looking, people laughing at them. That's the reality. And too much acceptance has probably led to why we're the fattest country on earth. You see that all this stuff, like, there's something dehumanizing about the phrasing. This pushed Fraser's weight into this severest extreme. Fraser's weight didn't actually move in any direction. That's the point of the fat suit. This also implies that people who live life at high weights are on the severest extreme. They are. It's called morbid obesity. Plus, the whole idea of unique digitally enhancing fat suit is an overall complication solution for the problem of the movie's own making. You wouldn't be in danger of hindering an actor's emotional range of expression if you weren't putting them in a fat suit to begin with. Well, look, I can't imagine the mental gymnastics that it took to write these articles, to be this upset about a fat suit. But that's the reality. Okay, did you want Brendan Fraser to put on 500 pounds for the role? Is that what you want? Or did you want to hire somebody who is 600 pounds and can't act? Which is it? This is the biggest dumb woke Hollywood garbage that I've seen in quite some time. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like on it. And if you haven't yet, please do subscribe down below. I'm only 1,500 subscribers away from 1.5 million. I would love to hit that today. That would be absolutely awesome. And we'll talk to you again real soon.